Aspartame has been studied for a long time, and what a researcher did, he said, I'm going to look at all the research that's been done, those that are sponsored by the makers of aspartame versus independent studies. What he found, virtually all the independent studies found harmful problems. None of the ones sponsored by the maker found any problem.
So you've got to look at who does the studies.
And so what the maker does is he goes out and he pays scientists to come up with articles or ghostwritten articles that says it's safe. And he fills the literature with it. And then when he goes before a camera, he says, look, these are the pile of studies that shows it's safe. And so the news commentator looks at this and says, well, gee, there's been hundreds and hundreds of studies that shows it's safe. They don't even show the real studies that were done, the carefully done studies showed it's not. Now, the carefully done studies show that it's a carcinogenic agent and that it combines with other carcinogens like nitrites from your food to become even more carcinogenic. They found in the original studies, to get approval for using NutraSweet, in the original studies they found increased brain tumors, about a 6-fold increase in brain tumors. They found increased lung tumors, breast cancers, breast tumors, all sorts of tumors and thyroid cancers were found. But what the investigation did after the approval, you know, because they approved it over all these findings, they found out that they were taking out the tumor from the experimental animal and throwing it away and writing down that it was normal.
Really?
Yeah, all this was discovered. It's under oath in congressional hearing. So a lot of these amoral shenanigans were done to get it approved in the first place. The guy who was head of the committee that approved it, after he approved it, within months, he went to work for the company that was the promoter of aspartame. And so that's sort of this revolving door we talk about between industry and government. Now, the studies have consistently shown that it's harmful. It does brain injuries. It produces abnormalities of the immune system. It affects the reproductive system. And it can cause cancer.
And wasn't there a study in Italy?
The Italian study was a study, I think his name was Rosini. But he is one of the most respected researchers on carcinogenic agents. What he does is he tests these agents to see if they cause cancer. So they gave him this project and said, look at this aspartame and see if it'll cause cancer in animals. He did the largest animal study ever done. Now, his research is considered impeccable, almost unquestionable, because he's so careful in doing it and so respected. He did it and he found, well, there seemed to be an increase in lymphoma and leukemia and probably breast cancer and maybe brain tumor. And so they wouldn't accept it. So he redid it with a lifetime study of the animal, as you would in humans, because the human's going to keep drinking this stuff for a lifetime. And he found it's definitely an increase in leukemia and lymphoma, most likely increase in breast cancer and brain tumor. So then it went to the United States. The CDC said, well, we'll look at his study and give a final determination for the American audience. And everybody knew how it was going to turn out, and it's exactly what they said. Well, we've had some criticisms of how this study was done. You know what the criticism was? Well, you did a lifetime study. We cut it off at 2 years. And he said, of course you do. That's when the tumors start appearing. So they cut off the study before the tumors start showing up.
It's the same thing that Monsanto did with the GMO studies.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. They knew at which point you were going to see the problems with the GMO, so they cut the study off before that appeared. And then they said, we didn't find anything.
And they did the same thing with the aspartame.
Yeah, I mean, it's prestidigitation. It's a magic act.
Yeah.
And of course, the public doesn't know these things. The public doesn't understand that these delayed effects and onsets. So, you know, to them it's a mystery. But if you understand the science and that this tumor or this destruction of the kidneys or the destruction of the brain is not going to occur until a certain time, and they cut the study off before that would happen and claim safety, you know, it's a farce.
It's kind of a crude analogy, but I've often referred to this when it comes to the GMO study. I was not aware of the aspartame study, but it's really the equivalent of me grabbing somebody by the hair and dunking them underwater, and then after 5 seconds you pull them up and you say, see, water doesn't cause drowning.
Yeah, they didn't drown.
Because you didn't do it long enough.
That's right.
And they don't do the studies long enough.
Right.
Well, mainly because they're only required to be self-authored studies.
Right, I mean, they do the study, they pay for the study, and they cut it off when they want to. But I couldn't believe this was the criticism, is that you carried the study on too long. Humans are taking it, they don't stop taking it at age 50.
Oh, no.
Or age 30, you know, they're taking it for a lifetime.
I mean, I literally see guys and gals at the stop and goes or 7-Elevens with these like 100-ounce, huge half-gallons of diet sodas.
Right, what we used to call belly washers.
Yeah.
Huge drinks, and they drink all of it.
And they drink all of it, and also, from what I understand about aspartame, it has something to do with the release of leptin or ghrelin, so that you don't feel satisfied and you actually gain weight. Right. So is there a link with obesity?
Yeah. What they found is in the hypothalamus is where leptin operates to curb your appetite, and there's receptors there in this particular nucleus, the arcuate nucleus. And so unless that leptin can react with that receptor, it doesn't work. Well, glutamate is the transmitter for that receptor. And aspartame has aspartic acid, which is also an excitotoxin just like glutamate. So it burns out that nucleus, so now the leptin won't work. Leptin levels start rising, which is inflammatory, and you start gaining weight.
Wow.
So actually what they found is aspartame is not good for weight loss. It actually stimulates gaining of weight. The other thing is that the tyrosine in it, the phenylalanine, stimulates hypoglycemia, which makes you hungry.
So you're going to eat more.
So you're going to eat more.
So, I mean,
they knew that. I mean, it's not that they didn't know it.
Right.
They knew it.
You wonder if that was one of the reasons that they put it out there.
Could be.
You know, you don't know. It's all speculation at that point.
You can't prove it.
Right.
But I know that they knew this research had been done.
And we know that it does cause obesity. It's linked to cancer. So we know those things about aspartame.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would think that you would really be foolish with all we know about aspartame to keep using it, particularly giving it to children.
Right.
Because here the child's brain is in its stage of formation. You know, and a child's brain, the more complex part of brains is not complete to age 27. So all of these brain pathways are busy forming their connections, and you're pouring this toxin in, you're damaging it. So what happens is the kid has a behavioral problem. You find out you can't control him. Well, he has these outbursts of anger. Well, he's depressed. Well, he has anxiety, he has panic attacks.
Hi, this is Ty Bollinger. Thanks for watching. If you want to know the truth about cancer, click the link in the description below to watch our award-winning docu-series, The Truth About Cancer, A Global Quest.